Look at this image. What is happening here? Why are fans chasing players with corner flags? Why is a player fighting a supporter? Why is Michy Batshuayi dishing out capoeira spin kicks? There's been a rise of supporter problems in European football lately, but it doesn't compare to recent incidences in Turkey, both from fans and officials. It's been a weird season for Turkish football. Well, maybe Turkish football fans would say it's been a normal season, but no doubt you will remember an incident from earlier in the season. After Rizespor got a 97th minute equalizer, MKE Ankaragücü president Faruk Koca stormed the referee at the final whistle and punched him in the face. When the referee went down, Koca's henchmen began kicking him when he was down, and all of Turkey's football came to a grinding halt. Speaking to the court after the event, Koca said that it happened because of the referee's poor decisions during the match and provocative behavior, going further and stating that he didn't intend to go on the pitch and physically assault the referee. Quote, "My aim was to react verbally to the referee and spit in his face." He also downplayed the severity of the punch. He called it a slap. That felt like it would have been the craziest event of the year, a match official getting attacked by a club president, but no. On March 17th, 2024, we saw supporters rushing the pitch and attacking the opposition players after Fenerbahçe had defeated Trabzonspor 3-2 in Trabzon. While the scenes were shocking, they weren't overly surprising given the history of this in Turkey in general, as well as the constant tensions between these two sides in particular. By the way, guys, this isn't an ad or anything, but a big shout out to a great dude and one of your favorite YouTubers, Macwell, for hooking me up with this shirt. The guy just launched his first merch line, so definitely check it out. Like I said, not an ad. I don't have a code for you guys or anything, but his merch is nice, so check it out. There's a link below. And with that said, let's get into how the tensions had been rising. Now, we've seen something similar to this before back in 2013 when Galatasaray was winning 2-1 away to Besiktas. Felipe Melo got a red card, held his Galatasaray jersey aloft as he walked off the pitch, was bottled, and everything kicked off from there. In that situation, the players were able to escape the pitch quickly unscathed, despite Besiktas supporters jumping on the tunnel, throwing bottles, trying to punch through it, and rushing onto the pitch to clash with officials and policemen. But to get to the heart of the clash between Trabzonspor supporters and the Fenerbahçe players, you have to go back at least a decade or so. Now, I'm going to say this a few times, but I won't go too deep into this, as things of this nature would need an entire video in and of itself to explain it properly. But during the 2010-11 season, at the midpoint, Trabzonspor had a 9-point lead over Fenerbahçe, only for Fenerbahçe to go on to win every single match and draw one, getting level on points with Trabzonspor, with Fenerbahçe taking the league on goal difference. From there was a massive investigation into match fixing that in fact went on for years, but the immediate aftermath of it was that Fenerbahçe still won the league, despite Trabzonspor and their supporters feeling like they were the rightful winners. Like I said, this is way too complicated to get into. It involves politics, a group that Turkish government deemed to be a terrorist group, and so much more. But what you can take from that is that even if Fenerbahçe officials had their names cleared, the feeling from Trabzonspor, and backed up by Galatasaray supporters, of course, sworn enemies, was that Fenerbahçe stole the title in 2011 through match fixing. And that title would have been Trabzonspor's first since 1984, hence their displeasure. Also, that's why it was such a big deal when they won the league in 2021-22, breaking that Istanbul vice grip on the Super League. Themselves and Rizespor are the only two teams in Turkey that have won the league that are not from Istanbul. As you are well aware of already, Fenerbahçe's biggest rival is Galatasaray and vice versa. With Trabzonspor and Fenerbahçe, it feels a bit rude to call it a one-sided rivalry because, of course, given the tensions between the two sets of supporters, that bleeds onto the pitch as well. No pun intended there. But when comparing it to the rivalry of Galatasaray and Fenerbahçe, there's no comparison. But the two sides still want to destroy each other given their history. And of course, since Trabzonspor is one of the challengers to the big teams in Istanbul. Then there was the 2014 incident, one that could have been far more grim than it was, thankfully, and one that is actually unsolved. In 2014, Fenerbahçe's bus was driving from their match against Rizespor to the airport in Trabzon when it was shot at. The shooter managed to injure the bus driver, who survived, by the way, but everyone else was fine, shaken, but fine. Again, this is an unsolved case, and they tried to move on from it quickly, but not knowing the truth about something has never stopped people from basing their opinions on a suspicion. There are some that believe it was linked to the Gulen movement in Turkey, as Turkey was unsettled politically at the time, and they see this as a way of the Gulen movement to pin it on Trabzonspor and sow more seeds of chaos within Turkey, etc. Given the reach and influence that Fenerbahçe has, even politically. When you have that many fans, you have power. Others believe that it was a Trabzonspor supporter lunatic who wanted revenge for the 2011 scandal. Maybe it was some Trabzonspor lunatic, maybe it wasn't, but like I said, a lack of the truth has never stopped people from coming up with their own or believing their own suspicions. And there are some Fenerbahçe supporters who pin this on Trabzonspor's fanatics. True or not, if enough people believe something, it creates further division between the two sides. Now, in the first half of the season, Trabzonspor actually went away to Fenerbahçe and won by the exact same score, Fener 2, Trabzonspor 3. Now, let's jump to the present. Fenerbahçe going away to Trabzonspor. Always a very explosive fixture in the calendar, as you now know why, and on this occasion, things boiled over. The referee on the night was Halil Umut Meler, the same referee that was punched by Ankaragücü's president. He also was the official for Galatasaray's derby away to Besiktas just 2 weeks prior. From what I've read, fans have noted that in the Galatasaray-Besiktas match, he seemed like he was far more on edge, threatening to stop the match when fans had thrown cups of water on the pitch. That is in stark contrast to the recent match between Trabzonspor and Fenerbahçe from the weekend and his style of officiating. Also of importance, Galatasaray released a 4-page document on officiating in Turkey, namely surrounding Fenerbahçe matches and accusing the Turkish Football Federation of giving them preferential treatment. I can't speak to that, obviously, as I don't watch the Super League enough to come to any conclusions on officiating bias in the league. I just bring it up to add further context to this cauldron. The history between the clubs, as well as the scrutiny that was on this referee going into it, and the decisions that they would make in this match. With Fenerbahçe taking a 2-0 lead in the first half, the mood in the crowd turned very, very sour in the second, and projectiles were thrown onto the pitch throughout the game. Fenerbahçe players were hit with them, as you can see here. There was a flare thrown at the assistant referee as well. Players had to constantly clear the 18-yard box due to cups thrown in there. It got crazier and crazier, and a flare was thrown into Fenerbahçe's box, from which the referee reacted incredibly slowly, only blowing the whistle for a foul, despite 2 Fenerbahçe defenders getting smoked out, not able to see the game, and screaming at the ref to stop it. It's really crazy to watch, as you can just see this big white plume of smoke in the middle of the box and cups of water raining down to the 18. By the way, Trabzonspor scored from that free kick. Stunning free kick. Certainly a funny situation, but well hit, gotta say. From there, Livakovic was hit by a coin when he was already down in his own goal, splitting open his chin and causing him to bleed everywhere. Trabzonspor did get back into the game and make it 2-2 from a penalty, but in the 87th minute, Michy Batshuayi scored to make it 3-2 for Fenerbahçe. Trabzonspor thought there should have been a foul in the build-up, which, when coupled with losing to Fenerbahçe, will have sent tempers flying. The final straw, however. At the end of the match, Fenerbahçe players began celebrating their win in the center circle, arm in arm, jumping around. Normal stuff, right? Until it wasn't. It started with one Trabzonspor supporter running onto the pitch, arms held up like a boxer with a clown mask on, literally, ready to take on Fenerbahçe players, challenging them to a fight. Right before that, however, I noticed when watching this video that this staff member / security guard saw the danger of the situation and urged another staff member to get the players off of the pitch, but it was too late. Bright Osei Samuel also noticed the pitch invader and immediately jumped to the defense of his teammates. I'm sure you've seen the photo. It's now a mural that Fenerbahçe supporters put up. With the clash happening, more Trabzonspor supporters rushed the pitch to help their friend in the clown mask. More and more supporters rushed past the overwhelmed security guards. Typically, there are police with helmets and riot shields in attendance for these matches, but I couldn't see anywhere in this absolute frenzy. Michy Batshuayi tried to hit someone with a spin kick as the Fenerbahçe player realized the gravity of the situation, and they all made for the tunnel. With his teammates all gone, Osei Samuel began running to the tunnel, dodged a kick from another supporter, and tried to fight his way through the crowd while taking some blows along the way. There was one especially psychotic supporter who grabbed a corner flag and began trying to hit the Fenerbahçe players with it. What a freak. Miraculously, no players were injured, at least not too badly, as they posed for a team photo following the frenzy. 12 people were arrested following the match, and Trabzonspor tried to save face by releasing a video that tried to imply that all of this was the Fenerbahçe's players' faults, as they showed players from Fenerbahçe's bench egging on supporters that were pelting them with cups throughout the match. I don't know, man. Me personally, if I'm getting pelted with cups of water all match and we end up winning the game, I'm probably going to indulge in a little shithousery. And the answer to that shouldn't be violence. Who cast the first stone in this instance? You know, who did the first wrong? In the aftermath, FIFA President Gianni Infantino condemned the violence because he has to. What else would he say, right? But Infantino said in full, quote, "The violence witnessed after the Turkish Super League match between Trabzonspor and Fenerbahçe is absolutely unacceptable. On or off the field, it has no place in our society. All players have to be safe and secure to play the game which brings such joy to so many people all over the world. I call on the relevant authorities to ensure that this is respected at all levels and for the perpetrators of the shocking events in Trabzon to be held accountable for their actions." FIFPro, the guys who kind of look out for the players, essentially echoed this, saying that they expect the harshest punishments, and also echoing what I was sort of laying the foundations for earlier when it comes to the officials. Should this match have gone on? And why did it? With constant projectiles being tossed on the pitch, seemingly from minute one, why was there no real warning to the supporters to stop? When Livakovic was hit by a coin and bleeding everywhere, there wasn't really a warning or a pause. When a flare almost hit the linesman or a flare had to be dealt with by Fenerbahçe players in their own box, no real repercussions for the supporters that were tossing them, you know? And so why would they stop? I already went over Trabzonspor's reaction, but what about that of Fenerbahçe? Well, they've let their feelings be known through the announcement of an extraordinary General Assembly that will take place on April 2nd, 2024, in which they will evaluate the actions to be taken, including the withdrawal of our football team from the Turkish Super League, based on the events that occurred in the Super League match played on the night of March 17th, 2024, and the recent events in Turkish football. Now, both Besiktas and Fenerbahçe are kind of at odds with the Erdogan regime. It's again a lot to get into, a ton of politics and history to explain that would require a lot more fact-checking on my part, but this is why Fenerbahçe feel that they're sort of at their wits' end and they have no other choice in this moment. Some say it is just a bluff with the hopes that there is heavy punishment, while others claim that they are being serious with these claims and would consider joining another league. Fenerbahçe playing in Greece? What could go wrong, right? Anyways, guys, that will do it for this video. Turkish football cannot be defeated when it comes to absolute madness at all levels. And if any big news comes out of this extraordinary assembly from Fenerbahçe, then I'll be sure to update you guys on that. My name's Adrian. Thanks so much for watching and take care. Ciao.